Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances. So close to his commander, Shri Prabhupada.
All right, everybody made it.
Yep. Sorry for
Everybody but
late.
some. You had a really bad connection for a while.
Yeah.
Seems right now.
Yeah.
So we
sometimes
moved
we
ahead right to chapter 18.
Yes,
Right?
Maharaj. Yes, Maharaj.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Dunyavari Paschacha Desatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Go Bhakta Vrinda Vanchagopat Rubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is Nectar Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Chapter 18, Character of One in Ecstatic Love. It should be a very interesting chapter. Okay. What is our order for reading first? Anandinam, can you read today? Can you do it?
Yeah, I beg to offer my humble obeisances. Please, onto your lotus feet.
Can you read?
Yes. So,
Yeah, it's on the screen now. So you can read on the screen or you read from your book.
yeah, we are on chapter
18.
16, yes.
18. Chapter 18.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, Hare Krishna. Characteristics of one in ecstatic love. Rupa Goswami next described the characteristics of a person who has actually developed his ecstatic love for Krishna. The characteristics are as follows. He is always anxious to utilize his time in devotional service of the Lord. He does not like to be idle. He wants service always 24 hours a day without deviation. Second, he is always reserved and perseverant. He is always detached from all material attraction. He does not long for any material respect in return for his activities. He is always certain that Krishna will bestow his mercy upon him. He is always very eager to serve the Lord faithfully. He is very Lord, eager to describe the transcendental qualities of the Lord. He is very pleased to live in a place where the Lord's pastimes are performed. Example, Mathura, Vrindavan, or Dwaraka. You tell an unalloyed devotee who has developed a ecstatic love for Krishna is always engaging his words in reciting prayers to the Lord. Without the mind, he's always thinking of Krishna. Within the mind, he's always thinking of Krishna. And with his body, he either offer obeisances by bowing down before the deity or engage in some other service. During these ecstatic activities, he sometimes sheds tears. In this way, his whole life is engaged in the service of the Lord, with not a moment wasted on any other engagement. Perseverance. When a person is undisturbed, even in the presence of various causes of disturbances, he is called reserved and perseverant. An example of this perseverance and reservation is found in the behavior of King Parikshit, as described in the first canto, 19th chapter, verse 15 of Srimad Bhagavatam. The king said before himself, "My dear Brahmanas, you should always accept me as your surrendered servant. I have come to the bank of the Ganges just to devote my heart and soul unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So please also be pleased because let the curse of the Brahman. I only request that at the last moment of my life, all of you will kindly chant the holy name of Vishnu so that I may realize his transcendental qualities." This example of Maharaj Parikshit's behavior is remaining patient even at the last point of his life. His undisturbed condition of mind is an example of reservation. This is one of the characteristics of a devotee who has developed ecstatic love for Krishna. Detachment. The senses are always desiring sense enjoyment, but when a devotee develops transcendental love for Krishna, his senses are no longer attracted to material desires. This state of mind is called detachment. There is a nice example of this detachment in connection with the character of King Bharata. In the 5th canto, 14th chapter, verse 43 of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated, Emperor Bharata was so attracted by the beauty of the lotus feet of Krishna that even in his youthful life, he gave up all kinds of attachment to family, children, friends, kingdom, etc., as though they were untouchable stools. Emperor Bharata provides a typical example of detachment. He had everything enjoyable in the material world, but he left it. This means that detachment does not mean artificially keeping oneself aloof and apart from the allurement of detachment. Even in the presence of such allurement, if one can remain unattracted by material detachment, it is called detached. In the beginning of course, a neophyte devotee must try to keep himself apart from all kinds of alluring detachment. But the real position of mature devotee is that even in the presence of all the allurement, is not at all attracted. This is the actual criterion of detachment. Pridelessness. When a devotee, in spite of possessing all the qualities of pure realization, is not proud of his position, is called prideless. In the Padma Purana, it is stated that King Bhagirath was the emperor above other kings, yet he developed such ecstatic love for Krishna that he became a mendicant and went out begging even to the homes of his political enemies and untouchables. He was so humble that he respectfully bowed down before them. There are many similar instances in the history of India. Even very recently, about 200 years ago or less, one big landlord known as Lal Babu, a Kolkata landholder, became a Vaishnav and lived in a Vrindavan. He was also begging from door to door, even at the homes of his political enemies. Begging involves being ready to be insulted by persons to whose home one has come. This is natural, but one has to tolerate such insult for the sake of Krishna. The devotee of Krishna can accept any position in the service of Krishna. Great hope. The strong conviction that one will certainly receive the favor of Supreme Personality of Godhead is called in Sanskrit Asabandha. Asabandha means to continue to think. Because I am trying my best to follow the routine principles of devotional service, I am sure that I will go back to home. In this connection, one prayer by Rupa Goswami is sufficient to exemplify this hopefulness. It says, I have no love for Krishna, nor for the causes of developing love of Krishna, namely hearing and chanting, and the process of Bhakti Yoga, by which one is always thinking of Krishna and fixing his lotus feet in the heart, is also lacking in me. As far as philosophical knowledge or pious works are concerned, I don't see any opportunity for me to execute such activities. But above all, I am not even born of a nice family. Therefore, I must simply pray to you, Gopijana Vallabha, Krishna, the maintainer and beloved of the gopis. I simply wish and hope that some way or the other, I may be able to approach your lotus feet. And this hope is giving me pain because I think myself quite incompetent to approach the transcendental goal of life. The purport is that under this bearding of Asabandha, one should continue to hope against hope that some way or the other, he will be able to approach the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Eagerness for achieving the desired success.
Okay, you want to say something about that? What you just read? What did you pick up? What would you think you'd want to tell somebody about?
Yeah, thank you. So I actually did do something from Prideless that in as much as whatever position one may be or whatever one may gain in this material world, it has to detach for such things. Because at the end of it, Krishna is the proprietor of everything. We have to see ourselves as just the caretakers, having nothing at all. So by so doing that, we can take a humble position whereby we can render service to anybody that comes our way. And to talk of the great hope, yeah, maybe we might be going through certain things that which is not palatable to us. But when we are convinced that on this path there is no loss or diminution, and one way or the other we are trying to do our service, then whatever comes our way, we may accept it, being an insult or whatever. So long as we know that this is the way and there is no other way, whatever comes our way, we have to accept it in good faith. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Anyone else?
Savamari Mataji, you want to retry? Savamari Gopi Mataji, are you available?
Ji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, 1 minute, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Eagerness for achieving the desired success. When one is sufficiently eager to achieve success in devotional service, that eagerness is called samukta kantha. This means complete eagerness. Actually, this eagerness is the price for achieving success in Krishna consciousness. Everything has some value and one has to pay the value before obtaining or possessing it. It is stated in the Vedic literature that to purchase the most valuable things, Krishna consciousness, one has to develop intense eagerness for achieving success. This intense eagerness is very nicely expressed by Bilamangal Thakur in his book Krishna Karnamrita, sorry. He says, I am eagerly waiting to see that boy of Vrindavan whose bodily beauty is captivating the whole universe, whose eyes are always bounded by black eyebrows and expanded like lotus petal, and who is always eagerly glancing over his devotee and therefore moving slightly here and there. His eyes are always moist and his lips are colored like copper, and through those lips there comes a sound vibration which drives one madder than mad elephant. I want so much to see him at Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. Here it is stated the eagerness. Eagerness means we should have so much eagerness in the Krishna consciousness to get the Krishna. Without eagerness, we cannot improve ourselves in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. Attachment to chanting the holy names of the Lord. The same Krishna Karnamrita, there is another statement about the chanting of Radharani. It is said by one of the associates of the Radharani, O Lord Govinda, the girl who is daughter of King Rishabhanu is now shedding tears and she is anxiously chanting your holy name Krishna Krishna. So we should have that eagerness like Radharani. Always, and in that eagerness we should feel that sadness that our tears should come out for the love of Krishna. Eagerness to describe the Lord's transcendental qualities. Attachment for chanting the glories of the Lord is also expressed in Krishna Karnamrita as follows. What shall I do for Krishna, who is pleasing beyond all pleasurable conception, and who is not naughtier than all restless boys? The idea of Krishna's beauty achieved in activities is attracting my heart, and I do not know what I can do. Attraction for living in the place where Krishna has his pastime. In the book of Padyavali by Rupa Goswami, there is the following statement about Vrindavan. In this place, the son of Maharaj Nanda used to live with his father, who was king of all coward men. In this place, Lord Krishna broke the cart in which the Saktasura demon was concealed. At this place, Damodara, who can cut the knot of our material existence, was tied up by his mother Yashoda. A pure devotee of Lord Krishna resides in the district of Mathura or Vrindavan and visit all the places where Krishna's pastime were performed. At these sacred places, Krishna displayed his childhood activities with the cowherd boys and Mother Yashoda. The system of circumambulating all these places is still current among devotees of Lord Krishna. And those coming to Mathura and Vrindavan always feel transcendental pleasure. Actually, if someone goes to Vrindavan, he will immediately feel separation from Krishna, who performed such nice activities when he was present there. Such attraction of remembering Krishna's activities is known as attachment for Krishna. There are impersonalist philosophers and mystics, however, who by a show of devotional service want ultimately to merge into the existence of Supreme Lord. They sometimes try to imitate a pure devotees sentimental for visiting the holy places where Krishna had his pastime. But they simply have a view of salvation, and so their activities cannot be considered attachment. It is said by Rupa Goswami that the attachment exhibited by pure devotee for Krishna cannot be possibly by perfected in the hearts of creative workers, kamis, or mental speculators, because such attachment is pure Krishna consciousness is very rare and not possible to achieve even for many liberated person. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, liberation from material contamination is the stage at which devotional service can be achieved. For a person who simply wants to have liberation or to merge into a impersonal Brahma Jyoti, attachment to Krishna is not possible to acquire. This attachment is very confidently kept by Krishna and is bestowed by only upon pure devotees. Even ordinary devotee cannot have such pure attachment for Krishna. Therefore, how it is possible for success to be achieved by a person whose hearts are contaminated by the actions and reactions of creative activities, and who are entangled by various types of material speculations. There are many so-called devotees who artificially think of Krishna's pastime known as Ashta Kalika Leela. Sometimes one may artificially imitate this, pretending that Krishna is talking with him in the form of a boy. Or else one may pretend that Radharani and Krishna both have come to him and are talking with him. Such characteristics are sometimes exhibited by the impersonal class of man, and they may captivate some innocent person who have no knowledge in a science of devotional service. How- However, as soon as experienced devotee sees all of this circle carry caricatures he can immediately evaluate such rascaldom. If such pretenders is sometimes seen possessing imitative attachment to Krishna, that will not be accepted as real attachment. It may be said, however, that such attachment gives the pretender hope that he may eventually rise into the actual platform of pure devotional service. This imitative attachment can be divided into two headings, namely shadow attachment and para transcendental attachment. If someone without undergoing the regulative principles of devotional service or without being guided by bona fide spiritual master, so such imitative attachment, this is called shadow attachment. Sometimes it is found that person actually attached to material enjoyment or salvation has the good fortune to associate with pure devotees while they are engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord. By the good grace of the Lord, one may also cooperate and join in the chanting. At that time, simply by association of such pure duty, a moon-like rays from their hearts reflects on him, and by the influence of the pure devotee, he may show some likeness of attachment caused by inquisitiveness, but this is very flickering. And if by the manifestation of such shadow attachment, one feels the disappearance of all material pangs, then it is called para attachment. Hare Krishna. No, che. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, should I read more or?
Yeah, I think you need to finish that this
Okay.
paragraph.
Okay.
Or you can explain if you want to.
Okay,
Yeah,
here it stated that with the association of there are two attachments. One is called shadow attachment and para transcendental attachment. If a person is with the shadow attachment, if it is he gets in the contact with the pure devotees, gradually he gets elevated and he comes in the para activities, para attachment. Should I read it, sir? More?
Okay.
Yeah. If someone is continuing.
Okay, let me continue. If you want,
Yeah.
if you are, I can see you are in the kitchen. Shadow attachment. Or para attachment.
Who is reading now? Kavicandra?
Yes, Gurudev. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Ramachandra, can you
Shadow,
read?
such shadow attachments or para attachments can develop if one associates with a pure devotee or visit holy places like Vrindavan or Mathura. And if an ordinary mind develops such attachments for Krishna and fortunately perform devotional activities in the association of pure devotee, he can also rise to the platform of pure devotional service. The conclusion is that transcendental attachment is so powerful that if such attachment is seen, manifested even in some common men, by the association of pure devotee, it can bring one to the personal stage. But such attachment for Krishna cannot be invoked in a person without his being sufficiently blessed by the association of pure devotees. As attachment can be invoked by the association of pure devotees, so attachment can also be extinguished by offenses committed at the lotus feet of pure devotees. To be more clear, by the association of pure devotees, attachment for Krishna can be right, but if one commits offenses at the lotus feet of the devotees, one shadow attachment or para attachment can be extinguished. This extinguishing is like the morning of the full moon. Such gradually decreases and at last become dark. One should therefore be very careful while associating with pure devotees to guide against committing an offense at this lotus. Transcendental attachment, whether shadow or para, can be nullified by different degree of offenses at the lotus feet of pure devotees. If the offense is very serious, then one's attachment becomes almost null. And if the offenses is not very serious, one's attachment can become second class or third class. If someone becomes attached to the principle of salvation or mingle into the existence of the Brahma, this status gradually diminish into shadow and para attachment, or else transform into the principle of ahangrahopasana. This ahangrahopasana describes as living entity when he begins spiritual realization by identifying himself with the Supreme Lord. This state of self-realization is technically known as monalism. The monalism thinks himself one with the Supreme Lord. Thus, because he does not differentiate between himself and the Supreme Lord, it is his view that by worshiping himself, he is worshiping the Supreme Who. Sometimes it is found that a neophyte is taking part in chanting and dancing very enthusiastically, but within himself he is under the impression that he has become one with the Supreme Who. This conception of monalism is completely different from pure transcendental devotional service. If some, however, it is seen that a person has developed a high standard of devotion without having undergone even the regulative principle, it is to be understood that the status of devotional service was attached in the former life. For some reason or other, it has been temporarily stopped, most probably, but an offense committed at the lotus feet of the devotee. Now, with a good second chance, it has again begun to develop. The conclusion is that steady progress in devotional service can be attained only in the association of pure devotees. If one can gradually advance his status in devotional service, this is understood to be due to the causeless mercy of Krishna himself. If a person is completely detached from material enjoyment and have developed pure ecstatic devotion, even he is sometimes accidentally found not living up to the standard of devotional service, one should not be envious of him. It is confirmed also in Bhagavad Gita that a devotee who has unflinching faith in a devotion to the Lord, even if sometimes found to be accidentally deviated from pure devotional characteristics, should still be counted among the pure. Unflinching faith in devotional service in Lord Krishna and his spiritual master make one highly elevated in the activities of devotional service. In the Nishima Purana, it is Hare Krishna,
Yeah.
Gurudev.
Let's hear some comment.
Yes, so Hare Krishna, Allah here. What I learned was that we should try to be sincere and practice well. Sometimes devotees try to chastise, even if somebody commits small offense. Here, Sri Rupa Goswami is telling us that so far as the person is still situated in devotional service, we should consider him as a devotee. Like Bhagavad Gita chapter 9:30 is saying that if a devotee move from the path of transcendental activities, we should still guide him as a saintly person. So here, devotees should be very careful how we judge each other. So far as the Lord have called us, or so far as we are still in the bathroom, whatever it is, we come out with clean body. Hare Krishna.
I'm getting an echo. Do you hear my echo or only? Haribol?
Yes, Maharaj, yeah, we can hear there is an echo.
You hear the echo or just? Now it's gone.
Hare Krishna. It's echoing actually. And I don't know why it's doing that.
Haribol. I think
Yes,
it's
Maharaj.
so.
Hare
There's
Krishna.
something in what you just read about, offenses to the holy name, offenses to the lotus feet. So just some example and might helps us. As an example, like if you're walking on the hot sand with your bare feet, the hot pavement, your feet are quite sensitive. The sun can be shining on your head, you can tolerate it, but on your feet, you can't tolerate the heat. So like that, the devotees are at Krishna's feet. And when we offend devotees, then that's very painful for Krishna. He can tolerate offenses against himself because he's unlimitedly powerful. But he can't tolerate offenses against devotees. Verse that's being to Bhagavad chapter 9, that evil activity is engaged emotional considered. It's one of the misused verses in the Bhagavad Gita. Get the first word, but
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Chapter 9, text number what?
well, I gotta find it. May check. Fortunately, I have it on the computer so I can find the abominable.
Okay, is it the verse 9 text 2? If the devotees find to commit abominable activities,
Yeah,
they still remain simply. Okay, I know the verse.
yeah. 9:30.
No, no, okay.
Apichet suracharo bhajatama mananya bhak. Sadar eva samantavya samyak vyavastato hisa. Even if one commits the most abominable action, he's engaged in devotional service and he's considered saintly because he's properly situated in his determination. Now, I've heard devotees say, this is the most misused verse, that devotees do terrible things like beat up their wife, beat the children in the Gurukul. And then they say, you have to consider me saintly because I'm chanting Hare Krishna. Right?
Yeah.
You might have experienced people like that. To think like can help us. This is a very, because it was just, and here is a very clear understanding of what this really means and how we are, because be another, but you have that's a hajj, and it's the most offensive. But if they just accidentally, they meet their own friends and they feel bad. It happens once, and we have to consider them saintly because they're trying. Tell one story, then we can read this. Prabhupada, he used to get letters during his massage, and they would read him the letters, and then he would just make comments. And then the secretary would write back. So they got a letter, and Prabhupada's secretary was afraid to read it to him because this boy was writing and he was saying, my dear Gurudev, before I joined the Hare Krishna, I was addicted to marijuana. And I keep going back to smoking marijuana, and I tried and tried, and I keep trying, but I keep going down again. And he was lamenting, but he was just saying, I tried, but I can't control myself. So that the secretary thought Prabhupada is not going to like this at all. He's going to be really upset. So when he read it to Prabhupada, Prabhupada got very serious. And he said, just see, he's trying so hard for Krishna. Right? You hear that? You got it? Bye. Go out and smoke. But if it didn't end, if someone just ended with the same product, very frustrating. Okay, let's read this purport paragraph by paragraph. All right, Sarvamayi. Gopi Devi Dasi.
I think she's busy cooking,
Krishna.
Maharaj. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Maharaj.
I should read ahead.
Yeah, if you. Oh.
Haribol Prabhuji.
Yeah, Maharaj said if you read.
Yeah. Oh. 1 minute, Prabhuji.
Right.
Can you, sir, if one gradually advance his status in devotional service, this is understood to be. Prabhuji, where you are going?
In Nishrima Purana, it is stated that means
In
Yeah,
Narsha
this,
Purana, it is stated, if a person has completely, it's coming, in Narsha Purana, it is stated, if a person has completely engaged in body activities in the service of
everyone has known.
Okay, there is an
Someone
echo.
crazy. There's so many echoes and people talking. I'm going to turn off my microphone.
Yeah, I think today the network is not good at all. Gurudev.
Okay, everyone should mute his voice. Only the person reading. Let's see whether it will improve.
Everyone should do what?
Everyone should mute himself or herself. Let only the person reading be unmuted.
In Narsha Purana, it is stated, if a person has completely engaged his mind, body, and activities in the service of Supreme Godhead, but externally he is found to be engaged in some abominable activities, these abominable activities will surely be very quickly vanquished by the influence of his stanch devotional force. The example is given that on the full moon there are some spots which may appear to be pockmarks. Still, the illumination spread by the full moon cannot be checked. Similarly, a little fault in the midst of volume of devotional service is not at all to be counted as a fault. Attachment for Krishna is transcendental bliss. Amid unlimited volumes of transcendental bliss, a spot of some material defect cannot act in any way. It is stated here, explained that even if a person has any scarcity or some fault, and if he is slowly, gradually going for Krishna consciousness, the spot or the lack of his lackness in his defect, it will gradually go away, and it should not be act anyway. Hare Krishna. Chapter 19. Hare Krishna. Should I read? Or Maharaj to give some explanation? Hari Bol. Salukya Prabhu. Chapter 19. Devotional service in pure love of God. When one
Wait a minute.
Okay.
We were reading the purport of chapter Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 30. Did you finish that?
No.
No, this is important because it's right. What we just read in the Nectar devotion directly referred to this verse. So I want to go back over it because I explained this is one of the most misused verses in Bhagavad Gita, that someone is doing abominable things and thinking I'm saintly because I chant. And you have to forgive me, my dear wife. I'm beating you for your own I'm just quoting what happens. I don't say any of you are doing it, but it has happened. I'm beating you to make you humble. You have to thank me for it because I'm a devotee. So this kind of thing goes on. So we have to understand so we can help people, we can teach people, that are coming to us how to understand these things. So they don't get misled. Okay? So how much
I'll
of the
read,
first did you read?
I'll read it, Maharaj.
Start from the beginning again, the word Sudarachara.
The word Durashara used in this verse is very significant, and we should understand it properly. When a living entity is conditioned, it has two kinds of activities. One is conditional and the other is constitutional. As for protecting the body or abiding by the rules of society and state, certainly there are different activities, even for the devotees, in connection with the conditioned life. And such activities are called conditional. Besides this, the living entity who is fully conscious of his spiritual nature and is engaged in Krishna consciousness or the devotional service of the Lord has activities which are called transcendental. Such activities are performed in his constitutional position, and they are technically called devotional service. Now, in the conditioned state, sometimes devotional service and the conditional service in relation to the body will parallel one another. But then again, sometimes these activities become opposed to one another as far as possible. The devotee is very cautious so that it does not do anything that could disrupt his wholesome condition. He knows that perfection in his activities depends on his progressive realization of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, however, it may be seen that a person in Krishna consciousness commits some act which may be taken as most abominable socially or politically, but such a temporary fall down does not disqualify him. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that if a person falls down but is wholeheartedly engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord, of the Supreme Lord, the Lord being situated within his heart purifies him and excuses him from that abomination. The material contamination is so strong that even a yogi fully engaged in the service of the Lord sometimes become ensnared. But Krishna consciousness is so strong that such an occasion of fall down is at once rectified. Therefore, the process of devotional service is always a success. No one should deride a devotee for some accidental fall down from the ideal path, for, as explained in the next verse, such occasional fall downs will be stopped in due course as soon as a devotee is completely situated in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a person who is situated in Krishna consciousness and is engaged with determination in the process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, should be considered to be in the transcendental position, even if by chance or accident he is found to have fallen. The word sadhu eva, the saintly are very emphatic. They are a warning to the non-devotees that because of an accidental fall down, the devotee should not be derided. He should still be considered saintly even if he has accidentally fallen down. And the word matravya is still more emphatic. If one does not follow this rule and derides a devotee for his accidental fall down, then one is disobeying the order of the Supreme Lord. The only qualification of a devotee is to be unflinchingly and exclusively engaged in devotional service. In the Narasimha Purana, the following statement is given. Bhagavati cha ara ananya cheta brisha malinopi brijate ma'anushya nahi salsa kalusha shabi kadashit timira parad bhavatam upaiti chandra. The meaning is that even if one fully engaged in devotional service of the Lord is sometimes found engaged in abominable activities, These activities should be considered to be like the spot that resemble the mark of a rabbit on the moon. Such spots do not become an impediment to the devotion of moonlight. Similarly, the accidental fall down of a devotee from the path of saintly character does not make him abominable. On the other hand, one should not misunderstand that a devotee is transcendental devotional service can act in all kinds of abominable ways. This verse only refers to an accident due to the strong power of material connections. Devotional service is more or less a declaration of war against the illusory energy. As long as one is not strong enough to fight the illusory energy, there may be accidental fall downs. But when one is strong enough, he is no longer subjected to such fall downs. As previously explained, no one should take advantage of this verse and commit nonsense and think that he is still a devotee. If he does not improve in his character by devotional service, then it is to be understood that he is not a high devotee.
Okay, so that last two sentences there, those are very important. I read it again. The last two sentences are short, sweet.
Okay, Maharaj. The last two sentences is that no one should take advantage of this verse and commit nonsense and think that he is still a devotee. If he does not improve in his character by devotional service, then it is to be understood that he is not a high devotee.
Okay, so just comment like, and mostly it's referring to new people, you know, that are beginning, maybe they're not initiated yet, and they have trouble. We should try to help them, you know, that they're weak, you know. Sometimes they say, oh, I went home to my mother and I had to eat meat, you know, because they just get weak around their family or something. So you don't condemn them and say, okay, you're going to hell. And Hari Bhakti Law says, if you eat meat, you know, you go to hell for 1 billion lifetimes. And we try to help them and, you know, to get stronger. But if someone is initiated and then thinking, well, I can do whatever I want because I'm a devotee, then that's more sinful. That's seventh offense to the holy name, sinning on the strength of the holy name. All right. Now we've seen that. I mean, we've seen it everywhere now. You've seen it in Africa. I've seen it all over. We all think it's only in my country, but actually it's everywhere. Everyone's the same. We have slightly different ways of looking at things, but basically the four basic, you know, needs of the human society and the four defects are the same for everybody. The cheating propensity is very strong. But if we keep good association and we pray to Krishna, help me, and we chant every day, should be all right. Now we can go back to the nectar devotion.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, should I read?
Now we're going to chapter 19. Devotional
Hare
service
Krishna.
in
Hare
pure love
Krishna,
of God. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah, Kumara, Hare Krishna. You want to read?
Yeah. Let me pay my obeisances to Maharaj and all the class. This is Aswin Kumara. I'm sorry. I have to travel to my hometown to bury my late wife. So you can see of late I've not been present in the class. So I would like to take this opportunity to apologize, Maharaj and the whole class as well. So thank you very much.
Wow. When did your wife leave the body?
Hare Krishna.
When did she become saint? When did your wife leave?
Yeah, we live
Your
at
lady's
Adam, Big
wife,
Adam.
you said.
Maharaj is asking, when did your Mataji pass away? When did she pass away?
It's okay, please come again. Maharaj is
Maharaj,
asking,
when did she pass away? What?
When did she pass away?
yeah, about 2 months ago. We just buried her last week. Hello.
Well, we'll all pray for you.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me go on to read chapter 19.
Or, you know.
Yeah, devotional service in pure love of God. When one's desire to love Krishna in one's particular relationship becomes, when one's desire to love Krishna in one's particular relationship becomes intensified, this is known as pure love of Godhead. In the beginning, a devotee is engaged in regulative principles of devotional service by the order of the spiritual master. When one thereby becomes completely purified of all material contamination, there develop an attachment and taste for devotional service. This taste and attachment, when gradually intensify in the course of time, become love. The word love can be actually applied only in relationship with the personality of Godhead. In the material world, love is not applicable at all. What goes on under the name of love in the material world is nothing but lust. There is a gulf of difference between lust and love and lust, like the difference between gold and iron. In the Narada Pancharatra, it is clearly stated that when lust is completely transferred to the Supreme Godhead, and the concept of kinship is completely reposed in him, such is accepted as pure love of God by great authorities like Bhisma, Parad, Uddhava, and Narada. Great authorities like Bhisma.
Okay, wait. We like to try to, summarize or comment on every paragraph. Otherwise, we just forget everything.
She makes a comment.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Here, Srila Prabhupada is stressing on this passage that love in this material world is not at all. There's nothing like love in this material world. All that we are talking about love in this material world is called lust. We can only experience love when we transfer all our lust to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When lust is transferred from one particular person totally to the Supreme Lord, there we experience love. Well, this is my understanding.
Okay, very good. Love is such a misused word in the material world. Making love means sex. That just doesn't make love, It doesn't produce love. It produces anger and dull-headedness, so many things. That's just one example. I love the car. I love this. I love, love whatever they say. I love it. But it's not love. it means I'm enjoying it. It's giving me some pleasure. That's the opposite of love. All right, that's good. Next paragraph.
Okay. So great authorities like Bismarck have explained that love of God means completely giving up all soul love for any other person. According to Bismarck, love means reposing one's affection completely from one person, withdrawing all affinities for any other person. This pure love can be transferred to the Supreme Personality of God under two conditions: out of ecstasy and out of causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so we have ecstasy. Ecstasy love of Godhead can be potently evoked simply by following the rules and regulations of devotional service as they are prescribed in the scriptures under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. In the 11th canto, 2nd chapter, verse 40 of Srimad Bhagavatam, this ecstatic love, born of the execution of regulative devotional service, is explained. A devotee, in the course of executing the regulative principle of devotional service, develop his natural Krishna consciousness. And being thus softened at heart, he chants the dance and dances like a madman. While performing chanting of the holy name of the Lord, he sometimes cries, sometimes talks widely, sometimes sings, and sometimes, without caring for any outsider, dances like a madman. In the Padma Purana, there is a statement about ecstatic love, born of spontaneous affection. Chandra Kati, a celebrated fair-faced girl, rigidly observes celibacy in order to obtain Krishna as a husband. She always engaged herself in meditating on the transcendental form of the Lord and always chants the glories of the Lord. She did not desire to accept anyone else as her husband. She had firmly decided that only Lord Krishna would be her husband. The Lord's extraordinary mercy. When a devotee is found to be always associated with the Lord in ecstatic love.
Maharaj said after this,
Hello?
just we should explain. So maybe you explain that before you go to the next one.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Here, Srila Prabhupada in this passage was given an example of a lady by name Chandra Kanti, who is a celebrated fair-faced girl. And she was so much in ecstatic love that she decided to go on doing transcendental activities to attract Krishna to be married as a husband. And so she gave all her mind, she gave all her strength to Krishna for that cause. And so this is how every devotee should be. And should behave under ecstatic love. It's so potent that it can attract everyone to put her strength, all her strength, or his strength on Krishna for a particular relationship. This is my understanding. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
So, but Hare Krishna Maharaj,
Yeah.
I understand women are not allowed to practice celibacy. So how come this particular lady here is practicing celibacy? Or is it down? Is it there? Because what I learned or what I know is that women are not allowed at all to practice celibacy. I don't know if this is my first time seeing a thing of that.
You kind of really slurred the words or spoke Yoruba or something. You have to say it again.
Maharaj is asking that his understanding is that women are not to practice celibacy. But in the
What?
section we're reading,
Women
women are not supposed to practice celibacy.
Where did he understand that? What does that have to do with what we just read?
And I didn't know.
Yeah, he's asking me, why am I asking that? Is that what he's?
Yeah, where did you get it from?
Well, I heard it from senior devotees.
Where are you getting that from? And what we didn't, that's not in what we read. But
I'm not getting what Maharaj is saying.
Maharaj
where
said
are
he
you
didn't
getting
read
this question from? It? I never heard of such a thing before, so I'm asking.
We didn't read anything related to that. So where is it coming from?
No, it's here in it's a Chandra Kanti, a celebrated fair-faced girl, rapidly observes celibacy in order to obtain Krishna as her husband. That is why I'm asking my question from.
Okay.
I hope I'm clear now.
Mhm. So Maharaj is asking,
Yes.
based on the paragraph that has just been read, there is
Yes.
probably a reference a particular lady who practiced celibacy just to get Krishna as her husband.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's very, very advanced. But Catholic nuns supposedly married Jesus, you know. The idea is that they're celibate in this material body. So anybody can, everybody should practice celibacy. Celibacy doesn't exactly mean just not having sex, but it means controlling your life, you know, so you use whatever energy only for Krishna, you know. So a married person who practices only for the sake of having children under rules and regulations, it's also celibacy, man and wife both. And if somebody is that austere that they, you know, I don't think that we have Maharajas in our movement who never get married and are very absorbed in Krishna. I don't think that they're thinking I'm going to marry Krishna and, you know, have him as my husband. I just want to be a servant of Krishna. You know, the gopis who are doing that are these great, you know, advanced souls trying to, you know, that's like Mirabai, you know. But in this case, having Krishna as husband means they only want to serve Krishna. They're not trying to have a a physical relationship with Krishna. The wife is meant to serve the husband. The husband wants to be celibate, and the wife is also celibate. She's not supposed to file for divorce because the husband won't give her sex. In India, sometimes women do that. So she's supposed to follow the husband. So they want to follow Krishna, so that's very good. It's a confusing thing. I kind of hesitate to talk about it, but never such a question. Love, like it's stressed that prema, you know, it means Krishna. But the word prema now gets thrown around a lot also. India, all these so-called devotees, Sahajya type groups, the word prema gets tossed around quite freely. But prema means only for Krishna, not all right. That help?
Yes. Yeah. And so that was the
Okay.
Please, may I continue?
Yeah, the Lord's extraordinary mercy, and that's what we need. So All right?
Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj. And so that was the example of one in ecstatic love. And that was the example given by Chandra Kanti.
Right.
That is when one has completely undergone the regulative principles under a spiritual master and has become so intensified under observing those regulations, he attains ecstatic love. And that was the example given by Chandra Kanti. So if I will continue to the next one, the Lord's extraordinary mercy. The Lord's extraordinary mercy. When a devotee is found to be always associated with the Lord in ecstatic love, it is to be understood that such a position has been awarded by the Lord himself out of his causeless extraordinary mercy. An example of such extraordinary mercy is given in the Leviticus 12th chapter, verse 7 of Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein Lord Krishna tells Uddhava, the gopis in Vrindavan did not study the Vedas to achieve me, nor had they ever been in holy places of pilgrimage, nor did they voluntarily execute any routine principles, nor did they undergo any kind of austerity. And it is simply by my association that they have attained the highest perfection of devotional service. For example of Chandrakanti, as found in the Padma Purana, and from the example of the gopis as found in Srimad Bhagavatam, it appears that a devotee who always think of Krishna and who always chant his glories in ecstatic love, regardless of his condition, will attain the highest perfection of unalloyed devotional service, unalloyed devotional love, due to the Lord Krishna's extraordinary mercy. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. If a person worships, adores, and loves Hari, the Supreme Lord, he should be understood to have finished all kinds of austerities, penances, and similar processes for self-realization. On the other hand, if after undergoing all type of austerities, penances, and in mystic yoga practices, one does not develop such a love for Hari, then all his performances are to be considered a useless waste of time. If someone always sees Krishna inside and out, then it's to be understood that he has surpassed all austerities and penances for self-realization. And if after executing all kinds of penances and austerities, one cannot always see Krishna inside and outside, then he has executed his performances uselessly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hold it. I know it's so ecstatic, but we want to get a little summary of each paragraph.
Okay. Here, the passage is talking about the Lord's mercy. The Lord's mercy, it occurs when one has undergone all austerities, all penances, all mystic yoga, and many more. When one is able to attain this, he attracts the Lord's mercy. And when the Lord's mercy comes, the devotee should be able to experience the Lord within and the Lord outside. That particular devotee should be able to experience the Lord within and the Lord outside. And when he experiences this, it means that he has become simultaneous, or he received the mercy of the Lord. This is my later understanding.
Yeah, well, that's an important verse, that if you do all these tapasya and all these things, but you don't get Krishna consciousness, then there's no use in doing all those things. And if you have Krishna consciousness, then there's no need to do all those things. You already have that result. So sometimes devotees get distracted and think, by they want mystic power, I think that will help them or help us preach or do some great austerity or something. They become proud of that. Like sometimes devotees, they fast on Ekadasi and they become very proud. Oh, these other devotees, they're not fasting. They're going to get this and that. We have to, and then they offend devotees, and then their tapasya has a negative effect. Okay, that was a good comment. Someone else
So,
can read the next paragraph.
but yeah, have to summarize.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find something disturbing here. But the whole thing is, if Krishna desires, he do, and if he doesn't, he don't. So here, what we've just read, say, when a devotee is found to be always associated with the Lord,
Somebody can answer.
in ecstatic love position, and by the Lord himself, out of his costless extraordinary mercy. So mercy means what I don't deserve, but it has been given to me. That is why, and what I understand by mercy. So here, the Lord himself then again is saying that when a devotee is doing that, so what do I do at all? Or we don't do anything. I don't know if my question is clear.
No, you have to do something. You have to, I don't know why you're not. These are subtle things that some Prabhupada said that require some intelligence. But if you have love for Krishna, then we don't have to, there's so many tapasyas in the Vedas and yagyas and for material gain that people do. You don't have to do those things to get Krishna conscious. Some people think, and in order to renounce the world, first you have to enjoy it unlimitedly. So they do all these other things, but then they just get more attached to trying to enjoy the material world. They get attached to the fruits of this work. But if someone has love of God, so he's saying the gopis, they just had love for Krishna. They didn't do any, but we also know from scripture that if anyone has come even to the point of chanting Hare Krishna, they've already done those things in a previous life. So they don't have to do that again. They're already achieved, they're already chanting the holy name and surrendering to Krishna. So they don't have to do, that's why Krishna says, Sarva Dharma Parityajya. You can give up all these mundane, these atheistic rituals for they're meant for fruit of gain. Because you already have Krishna, by Krishna's causeless mercy. Somehow or other, Krishna has taken pity on us. Maybe we must have done something good, but we don't know. Some accidental good served the devotee somehow or other. Or Krishna is just, picking us up for no reason, just out of his cosmic mercy. If you don't have love of God, we have to follow the regulated principles. We have to chant the holy name. And in our neophyte stage, we have to get regulated, getting up early, taking bath. We can't be like Vamsi Das Babaji or something, never take a bath and, never eat and offer his deities the raw eggplant in the middle of the night. We can't do like that. It's our relationship, trying to be servants. We have to follow the path, the chariots. But we don't have to do all these other kinds of charity, fasting, and, yajna, all that kind of stuff. We don't have to. We have to do the yajna, following the regular principles of chanting the holy name, taking shelter with the spiritual master, trying to serve Krishna. Otherwise, if you want to go and worship Indra, you'll get some result, but you won't get Krishna. Okay, from the example of Chandrakanti, Nananand. You read that already, or? I'm going to read it again anyway. From the example of Chandrakanti as found in the Padma Purana, and from the example of the gopis as found in Srimad Bhagavatam, it appears that a devotee who always thinks of Krishna and who always chants the glories and ecstatic love, regardless of his condition, will attain the highest perfection of unalloyed devotional love due to Lord Krishna's extraordinary mercy. This is confirmed in the Narada Pancharatra. The person worships and adores and loves Hari, Supreme Lord. He should be understood to have finished all kinds of austerities, penances, similar processes for self-realization. On the other hand, if after undergoing all types of austerities, penances, and mystic yoga practices, one does not develop love for Krishna, then all his performance okay. Let's skip my jump on. Then all his performance are a useless waste of time. Someone always sees Krishna inside and out. Then it's to be understood he has surpassed all austerities and penances for self-realization. And if after executing all penances and austerities, one cannot always see Krishna, then he has executed all his performances useless. So we read that, now we read it again. And we could read it 10 times, 100 times, trying to get it to sink in. Okay, who can read now different?
Okay, Hare Krishna Maharaj. Spontaneous attraction to Krishna, which is said to be due to extraordinary mercy of the Lord, can be placed under two headings. One is profound veneration for the greatness of the Lord, and the other one is one being automatically attracted to Krishna without any extraneous consideration. In the Narada Pancharatra, it is said that if on account of profound veneration for the greatness of the Supreme Lord, one attains a great affection and steadily love for him, one is certainly assured of attaining the four kinds of Vaishnava liberation, namely achieving the same bodily features as the Lord, achieving the same opulence as the Lord, dwelling on the planet where the Lord is residing, and attaining eternal association with the Lord. The Vaishnava liberation is completely different from the Mayavadi liberation, which is simply a matter of being merged into the effulgence of the Lord. In the Narada Pancharatra, pure unalloyed devotional service is explained as being without any motive for personal benefit. If a devotee is continuously in love with Lord Krishna, and his mind is always fixed upon him, that devotional attitude will prove to be the only means of attracting the attention of the Lord. In other words, a Vaishnava who is instantly thinking of the form of the Lord Krishna is to be known as a pure Vaishnava. Mercy of the Lord, on account of following the strict rules and regulations of devotional service, becomes attracted by the supreme greatness of the Lord, by the transcendental beauty of the Lord, and by the spontaneous execution of devotional service. To be more clear, by executing the regulative principles of devotional service, one can fully appreciate the transcendental beauty of the Lord. In any case, such exalted positions are possible only by extraordinary mercy of the Lord upon the devotee. Association with pure devotees. Although many different processes for developing love of Godhead have been explained, let me take it again. Although many different processes for developing love of Godhead have been explained so far, Srila Rupa Goswami now gives us a general description of how one can best achieve such higher position. Beginning of ecstatic love of Godhead is basically faith. There are many societies and associations of pure devotees, and if someone with a little faith begins to associate with such societies, his advancement to pure devotional service is rapid. The influence of a devotee is such that if someone comes to associate with him with a little faith, one gets the chance of hearing about the Lord from authoritative scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Thus, by the mercy of the Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart, one gradually develops his faith in the description of such authoritative scriptures. This is the first stage of association with pure devotees. In the second stage, after one becomes a little advanced and mature, he automatically offers to follow the principles of devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee and accept him as a spiritual master. In the next stage, under the guidance of spiritual master, the devotee executes regulative devotional service. And as a result of such activities, he becomes free from all unwanted occupations. When he is free from unwanted occupations, his faith becomes steadily fixed, and he develops a transcendental taste for devotional service. Then attachment, then ecstasy, and in the last stage, there is pure love of Godhead. These are the different stages of development of pure love. Only the most fortunate person can achieve such success in life. Those who are simple academic students of the Vedic scriptures cannot appreciate how such a development takes place. In the Narada Pancharatra, Lord Shiva therefore tells Parvati, "My dear Supreme Goddess, you may know from me that any person who has developed the ecstasy of love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead and who is always merged in transcendental bliss on account of this love cannot even perceive the material distress or happiness coming from the body or mind."
Okay, Haribol, would you like to come to that platform where you can't perceive the miseries from the body and mind?
Yes, Maharaj, definitely.
Well, Prabhupada showed us that, leaving the body time, he his body was so miserable, suffering so much. Doctors just couldn't believe it. He didn't ever take painkillers or anything, but he was completely clear-headed and was translating, and so he showed his Bhakti Tirtha also. His body was in very painful condition, and he told me, "You look at my body, but my mind is much worse," and he just laughed. But then he just took shelter of the holy name and thinking of Krishna's pastimes, and gave up on any kind of treatment, showed us how it works, But that's not why we chant, but we chant, we want to get love of Godhead, and if it requires pain and trouble, it's the most valuable thing. All right, another person for this next part, the affection and dealing.
Affection and dealings of love that are different branches of the original tree of
Louder. Speak into the microphone.
Hare Krishna, are you hearing me?
Yeah, very.
Hello, are you hearing?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. The affection and the dealings of love that are different branches of the original tree of love see many varieties of affections, manifestation that will not be discussed here. These different manifestations have been described by Sanatana Goswami in his Bhagavatamrita. Although the subject of such affections and dealings of love is very confidential, Sanatana Goswami has described them very explicitly. Sri Rupa Goswami Dai concludes the first division of Bhakti Rasamitra Sandhu, offering up his thesis for the transcendental treasure of Sanatana Goswami, who have established the transcendental beauty, and of Gopal Bhakta Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Bhakta Goswami, and Raghunatha Desa Goswami, is appealed from his statement that the great Srila Jiva Goswami have not yet active when Bhakti Rasamrita Sadhu was written. Thus ends the Bhaktisiddhanta summary study of the first edition of Bhakti Rasamrita Sadhu, up to the description of the ecstatic love of God, which are to follow next. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So that's this module. We'll have to go back for summarizing all the chapters tomorrow. Just taking a basic idea. You see, it took a long time to read them all, but they all have a title. So we just want to go over the title of each chapter and hear something from everybody. Okay, so thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time is all right. That's a better time for me.
Yes. Yes,
All right,
Maharaj.
already got a time, 9:30 Lagos. All
Thank
right.
you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare Ram, Rama Rama. So we saw pictures and videos from Ganga Prasad every day for the Holy Name Week, and a lot of them from Yadunath. I didn't see, and some good ones from Kamalaksha, Big Harinam, Prasadam. So everybody, please, if you have any more, send them in. I just picked up things from the Facebook that other people put up. All right?
Okay.
Don't think
Alright.
that 1 week is for Harinam, it's for all the time. That week's supposed to just get us moving, and then we keep going. Shrimad Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Rupa Swami Ki Jai. Nectar
Hare
devotion Ki Jai.